Assalomu alaykum hurmatli teletomoshabinlar, hurmatli yurtdoshlar. Boshlangan kuningiz xayrli bo'lsin deymiz. Bugun 22-noyabr va bugun poytaxtda muhim xalqaro tadbir bo'lib o'tyapti va biz UZREPORT TV telekanali o'zining jonli efirlarini davom ettiradi va bu xalqaro tadbirning ham voqealarini e'tiboringizga jonli efirlarda havola etib boramiz. Bugun ta'kidlab o'tganimizdek, xavfsiz, qonuniy va tartibga solingan mehnat migratsiyasi masalalariga bag'ishlangan Mehnat migratsiyasi 2022 xalqaro forumi bo'lib o'tmoqda. Ta'kidlash joizki, bu formatdagi forum ilk bor O'zbekistonda o'tkazilyapti. Bugungi kunga qadar O'zbekiston turli xalqaro tadbirlar va forumlarning markaziga, maydoniga aylanganligi ma'lum. Turli masalalar yuzasidan hattoki davlat rahbarlari ishtirokidagi xalqaro tadbirlar bo'lib o'tdi va bu formatdagi forum ilk bor Toshkentda o'tkazilmoqda va bugungi bo'lib o'tadigan muzokaralardan so'ng uni har yili o'tkazilish bo'yicha ham qarorlar qabul qilinishi kutilyapti. Ta'kidlab o'tish kerakki, yaqinda butun bashariyat aholisi 8 milliardga yaqinlashdi va borgan sari dunyo aholisi ortib bormoqda. Masalan, 2040-yilga borib yana 1 milliardga dunyo aholisi ortishi prognoz qilinyapti va tabiiyki bu barcha insonlarga ham ish topib berish, ularni ish joyi bilan ta'minlash muhim masala. Dunyoning rivojlangan davlatlari oldida ham ishsizlik masalasi bugungi kunda muhim ahamiyat kasb etmoqda va tabiiyki aholi, fuqarolar boshqa davlatlarga ish izlab borish tabiiy va bu borada muhim masalalar yuzaga chiqadi, ya'niki ular aynan xavfsiz, qonuniy jihatdan tartibga solingan yaxshi sharoitlarda, mehnat sharoitlarida ishlashi lozim va buni davlatlar o'zini siyosati oldida muhim vazifa sifatida bilmoqda. Bu O'zbekiston oldida ham bugungi kunda aktual, muhim masalaga aylangan va shu masalalar bugungi forum davomida ko'rib chiqiladi. Shuningdek, bugungi forumni yana qanday masalalar ko'rib chiqilishi nuqtai nazardan biz hozir suhbatdoshimizdan bilishga harakat qilamiz va suhbatdoshimiz Bandlik va mehnat munosabatlari vazirligi huzuridagi Tashqi mehnat migratsiyasi agentligining matbuot kotibi Ortiqxo'ja Norov bo'ladilar. Assalomu alaykum, xayrli kun.
Assalomu alaykum.
Mana hozirgina boshlanmoqda katta xalqaro forumimiz. Aytib o'tingchi, qanaqa masalalar bu xalqaro migratsiya forumida ko'rib chiqiladi?
Umuman forumda diqqat markazidagi masala bu mehnat migratsiyasi geografiyasini kengaytirish. Biz bilamiz, har yili O'zbekiston mehnat bozoriga qariyb 600 ming atrofida yangi ishchi kirib keladi. Albatta, yangi investitsiya loyihalari, yangi ishchi o'rinlarini yaratish bo'yicha ko'p loyihalar amalga oshirilmoqda. Shu bilan birga baribir ham aholimizning qaysidir qismi mehnat migratsiyasiga shu jalb qilinyapti. Endi biz asosiy maqsad albatta biz rivojlangan davlatlarga va ko'proq oylik maoshi beradigan davlatlarga o'sha xorijda ishlash istagidagi fuqarolarimizni ishga jalb qilish choralari ko'rilmoqda. Albatta buni o'zi bo'lmaydi. Buning uchun albatta o'sha salohiyatli ish beruvchilar bilan gaplashish, muzokaralar o'tkazish, ularni talablarini, sharoitlarini o'rganish. Shu nuqtai nazardan mana bugun forumda xorijning rivojlangan davlatlari, ish beruvchilari, vakolatli tashkilotlari ishtirok etmoqda.
Mehnat geografiyasiga ham to'xtalib o'tsak, adashmasam hozir forum boshlanyapti. Bizga shu bo'yicha signal berilmoqda. Siz bilan suhbatimizni yana davom ettiramiz va e'tiboringizga jonli efirda forumni taqdim etamiz. Marhamat.
Marko Matavaneli, Zeynal Gajiyev, xush kelibsizlar O'zbekistonga va barcha bugungi tadbir ishtirokchilariga demak minnatdorchilik bildirib qolamiz. Bugungi tadbirimizda turli davlatlardan bizning hamkorlar, xalqaro tashkilotlar, elchixona vakillari ishtirok etishmoqda. Bugungi bo'lib o'tayotgan forumda siz azizlarni qimmatli vaqtingizni ayamay ishtirok etayotganingiz uchun minnatdorchilik bildiramiz. Sizga ma'lumki, so'nggi yillarda mamlakatimizda muhtaram prezidentimiz tashabbuslari bilan keng miqyosli demokratik o'zgarishlar, ijtimoiy, iqtisodiy va siyosiy sohalarda keng ko'lamdagi islohotlar amalga oshirib kelinmoqda. Aniq aytishimiz mumkinki, keyingi yillarda aholi bandligi, mehnat munosabatlari, mehnat bozori uchun raqobatbardosh kadrlarni tayyorlash va boshqa sohalarda O'zbekiston tarixida hali kuzatilmagan, misli ko'rilmagan tub o'zgarishlar amalga oshirilmoqda. Bunda ushbu tizimni joriy etish bo'yicha bevosita aloqador bo'lgan O'zbekiston Respublikasining aholi bandligi to'g'risidagi yangi tahrirdagi qonun, yangi tahrirdagi mehnat kodeksi O'zbekiston Respublikasi Prezidentining xorijda vaqtincha mehnat faoliyatini amalga oshirayotgan O'zbekiston Respublikasi fuqarolarini va ularning oila a'zolarini qo'llab-quvvatlash bo'yicha qo'shimcha chora-tadbirlar to'g'risidagi qarorlari va boshqa huquqiy me'yoriy hujjatlar qabul qilindi. Ushbu qonun hujjatlari orqali nafaqat O'zbekistonda, balki xorijda mehnat faoliyatini olib boruvchi fuqarolarga yaratilgan imtiyozlar, huquq va majburiyatlar bo'yicha aniq vazifalar va ularning amalga oshirish mexanizmlari belgilab olindi. Shu o'rinda yuqoridagi muhim hujjatlar asosida faoliyat olib boruvchi Bandlik va Mehnat munosabatlari vazirligining vazifalariga to'xtalib o'tadigan bo'lsak, vazirlik aholi bandligini ta'minlashga doir hududiy va tarmoq dasturlarini amalga oshiradi. Oliy va o'rta maxsus kasbiy ta'lim muassasalari bitiruvchilarini ishga joylashtirish ta'minlash bo'yicha chora-tadbirlarni muvofiqlashtiradi. Kam ta'minlangan oilalarga nafaqalarni o'z vaqtida to'lash va moddiy yordam berishni, shuningdek chet elga ishga chiqib ketayotgan fuqarolar faoliyatini ham monitoring qilib olib boradi. Bu borada vazirlik huzurida o'z o'rniga ega bo'lgan Tashqi mehnat migratsiya agentligi faoliyati muhim ahamiyatga ega. Ta'kidlash joiz, siyosiy ahamiyatga ega bo'lgan migratsiya sohasida asosiy talablardan biri bu xalqaro mehnat bozoriga kasb hunarga ega malakali kadrlarni yetkazishdir. Biz ichki va tashqi mehnat bozorlarida malakali, raqobatbardosh ishchi kuchiga talabning ortib borayotganligini inobatga olib, xalqaro andozalar asosida mehnatkashlarimiz uchun dasturlar ishlab chiqdik hamda ushbu vazifalar bo'yicha agentlik o'zining doimiy chora-tadbirlarini amalga oshirib kelmoqda. Aziz do'stlar, forum ishtirokchilari, shu o'rinda men amalga oshirgan ishlar yuzasidan quyidagi raqamlarga ham to'xtalib o'tmoqchi edim. Bugungi kunda vazirlik tizimida 17 ta ishga marhamat monomarkazlari, 56 ta kasb-hunarga o'qitish markazi, 400 dan ortiq mahallalarda kasb-hunarga o'qitish maskanlari faoliyat olib bormoqda. Joriy yil boshidan xorijda vaqtinchalik mehnat faoliyatini olib borish istagida bo'lgan 50 mingdan ortiq fuqarolarimizga kasb-hunar va chet tillarini o'qitishga jalb qilindi. Ilk marotaba xorijiy va ish beruvchilar bilan O'zbekiston fuqarolarini Yevropa davlatlariga, xususan Germaniya, Buyuk Britaniya va boshqa bir qator davlatlarga turli xil sohalarga, doimiy, vaqtinchalik, mavsumiy ishlarga jalb qilish bo'yicha kelishuvlarga erishildi. Xorijga tashkillashtirilgan tarzda ishga yuborilayotgan fuqarolarning moliyaviy qo'llab-quvvatlash maqsadida ularning 200 mingga yaqin nafariga turli xil imtiyozlar, xizmatlar ko'rsatildi. Yuqoridagi raqamlar va xorijiy tajribalarni inobatga olib, biz sohani yangicha xalqaro andozalar asosida yanada takomillashtirishga zarurligiga biz amin bo'ldik. Bunda esa albatta xalqaro hamkorlik aloqalarini kuchaytirishimiz va sizning qo'llab-quvvatlashingiz muhim kasb etadi. O'ylaymanki, bugungi xalqaro forum sohada erishilgan muvaffaqiyatlardan motivatsiya olish, kamchiliklarni bartaraf etish hamda innovatsion takliflarni yuzaga chiqaruvchi samimiy va do'stona muloqot uchun imkoniyat bo'ladi. So'zim yakunida Bandlik va Mehnat munosabatlari vazirligi va Tashqi mehnat migratsiya agentligi bundan keyin ham tashqi mehnat bozori hamkorligini yanada mustahkamlashga, hamkorlikni yanada yangi qirralarga olib chiqish uchun barcha kuch va imkoniyatlarni safarbar etishga doim tayyorligini ma'lum qiladi. Men ushbu xalqaro forumda ishtirok etayotgan barchaga yana bir bor o'z minnatdorchiligimni izhor etgan holda sizlarga sihat salomatlik tilab, bugungi forum ishida ijobiy natijalarga erishishimizdan umid qilib qolaman. E'tiboringiz uchun rahmat.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, for your greetings. Next, I will kindly ask Her Excellency Charlotte Adrian, the Ambassador of the European Union to the Republic of Uzbekistan, to give her greetings to the conference.
Katta rahmat. Assalomu alaykum. Hurmatli kunimlar va janoblar. Dear Minister, Your Excellency, Minister, and colleagues and partners and dear participants, it's a pleasure for me to be here today for this important event. In fact, 2 years ago, We were talking about the reduction of migration, the reduction of remittances due to the economic crisis due to COVID. And borders were closed, and people were stranded and trying to get back home. Today, the geopolitical situation in the world is fueling more migration. The war in Ukraine, the economic crisis which is coming, but also more importantly, I think we have to think about the climate change, which is also fueling migration. People are moving. We all know how important migration is for Uzbekistan. And we hear it again, you are making, in fact, the legislation better because it's a way for young people to get educated, to get trained, to find jobs, but also for the remittances, of course, that the migrants are sending home. These are important revenues, and in fact, this is the best social protection scheme that exists. Now, labor migration provides benefits to the country of origin in the form of remittances, to the host country by addressing labor shortages, and last but not least, to the migrants, workers, and their dependents by income generation. At the same time, and too often, migrants workers find themselves in very vulnerable situations, leading to exploitation and abuse. Unwanted effects of, in particular, may also include a brain drain, labor market distortion, and people smuggling activities, trafficking. We know that. In the European Union, we advocate for a rights-based system for labor migration governance in the country of employment, and where applicable, upon return in the country of origin. In the EU, legal migration is part of a balanced common EU policy from which migrants, countries of origin, and countries of destination benefit. Now, the policy and the EU legislation lays down a single procedure and a single permit, combining the authorization to work and reside for workers from non-EU countries that are admitted under member states' national schemes. I'm sure that Minna and our Finnish colleagues will inform you about it, because one of the important aspects of EU's legal migration is the labor mobility schemes with non-EU countries, with EU helping member states implement schemes that meet the needs of the employers while reinforcing the human capital development in partner countries, exactly what you were talking about before. But the world is changing, and our policy is also evolving, and it's being modernized. Now, this is done based on research, based on monitoring, based on data, based on facts, and it's also done based on discussions with all stakeholders, the networks, the employers, the private sector, the countries, and some other networks that we have set up. Because this is where, in fact, the importance of the information that we gets into the decision makers' policy changes. And that's what we need. And this is, I know that Uzbekistan is also working on this. For Uzbekistan, in fact, we have in the EU also the intention of establishing an EU-wide labor platform for matching tools, and it's going to be called the EU Talent Pool. I think this is quite important because, again, this is a result of some of the challenges that we have seen in the EU employers have seen finding the right talents from other countries. Now, in Uzbekistan, what we have done is that during COVID, we did, in fact, support the government, in particular, supporting the migrants and their families to know their rights, because this is another aspect. Migrants need to know their rights. They need to be aware of the rights so that they are not, in fact, abused about. Secondly, what we've also been working on, of course, is promoting sustainable jobs and, in fact, promoting your policies, your reforms in Uzbekistan. Because we also believe that, of course, migration is important, But if people could stay, and in fact also if jobs were created, and then in fact this would, I think, be better for everyone. So in fact what we're doing here now is supporting education, supporting training, vocational education training. We now have a new program which was presented last week in Samarkand during just before the connectivity conference, which is called DARIA, Dialogue and Action for Resourceful Youth in Central Asia, trying to match, in fact, the talents with the needs of the labor market. But we, of course, also have our Erasmus Plus programs and our vocational education programs with UNESCO. As you mentioned, Minister, this is really important. Matching, in fact, the skills with the labor market, trying to find ways, of course, both for migration but also for the internal market, how to make it better for Uzbekistan. So I will stop here. My only words are that we just had the EU Central Asian Connectivity Conference in Samarkand, and we thank Uzbekistan for having hosted it. This was about connectivity, creating new links and creating, of course, new opportunities for the markets in Central Asia, in transport, in digital, and in green and energy and water. But the idea, of course, is that this is about prosperity, and it's about resilience of Central Asia, and of course of Uzbekistan, first and foremost. So with this, I'd like to again reiterate that EU stands ready to support you in your reforms, because we also believe, like you do, that this is the best way forward, not only for Uzbekistan, but in particular for the people of Uzbekistan. So with this, Katar Ahmad, Minister. Thank you.
Thank you for the greetings from the European Union. And next, I would like to invite Her Excellency Matilda Dimochka, President Representative of the United Nations Development Programme in Uzbekistan, to give her greetings to the conference.
Hurmatli xanımlar va janoblar, hurmatli janob Husanov, aziz do'stlar va hamkorlar, assalomu alaykum. From UNDP perspective, it's great to be part of this event, which of course is very timely and extremely relevant. And the reasons for that I don't have to explain to us, because we speak in a country that is the most populous in the Central Asia, and that exports labor migrants, nationals, to work abroad. According to the IMF estimates, I think more than 3 million annually. And of course, because we talk at the times when there are major disruptions in the migration trends in the world, the ones that Madam Ambassador was referring, pandemic, wars, climate change, and many other things are disrupting the trends. So, and these trends did not leave Uzbekistan. In fact, we all remember back in 2020 when the wave of returning migrants, or at least the reduction in the remittances for the people that mostly depend on those. And luckily that has been stabilized. However, we do have a new wave of returning migrants triggered by the war in Ukraine, albeit not at so high rate as expected, not until now at least. Now, what I wanted to say from UNDP perspective, we find it extremely important and we support the government in making the best benefits of the migration for its development. Yes, it is the country, Uzbekistan, in a demographic dividend, with a growing entering population in the labor market of about 600,000 annually. So indeed, the migration, labor migration, is an opportunity for some of those people, at least for the time being. from development perspective, of course, it is so important that the migration is one of the ways of addressing the poverty challenge. I'm sure that my colleague from the World Bank will talk about their analysis, which, if not mistaken, says that remittances account for about 11% of the total income for the bottom fifth of the population, and that if not without remittance income, that the poverty rate may have been significantly higher. Now, so therefore we look it from a development perspective, and we think that the human mobility is in fact an opportunity, not only for the people that are on move, for the country of origin and for the country of destination. And it is for that reason central to the objectives of the Sustainable Development Goals and the key principles of leaving no one behind. We also argue that, and we see it in other countries, that enhancing the contribution of human mobility for the development requires that the right policies, programs, measures are in place, and partnerships. And this is the focus of today's meeting, and we are glad about that. From other countries, we see how important it is to capitalize on the opportunity, for the capitalizing of the opportunities from migration, to focus on capacity building to support the labor migrants, like with intensive language trainings, in-demand skills and their acquisitions, formal job matching schemes, training in legal rights, family support messages, and many more, including the formalizing of the arrangements with the countries, recipient countries, with the host countries for the rights of the migrants. So, which leads to the key aspects that are critical nowadays for the migration in Uzbekistan: diversified and state destination for the labor markets, because indeed the human rights of the migrants also are one of the important aspects that are to be protected, but also to diversify the opportunities in countries and in terms of destination, in terms of the professions that the migrants may take. And the second aspect is that for the labor market potential, that we believe, the second aspect that we believe it's important is that for the potential of the migration in Uzbekistan to be utilized, still there are challenges to be addressed, and these are the focus of our work. Now, we see, the minister spoke about it, we see systemic reforms in the field of migration, protection of the migration, many actions. I will mention here the fund to support, establishment of the fund to support and protect the rights, the law on private employment agencies, number of presidential degrees on the system of organized labor migration was set. But still there are challenges, and those relate to the availability of safe and orderly organized labor migration, limited access to diversified labor markets in recipient countries, gaps in skills development associated with it, and particularly important, lack of high quality data and evidence about the scope and nature of both the formal and informal migration. So with that understanding and building on our long-term engagement with the ministry, UNDP is supporting the part in addressing these challenges. For example, we have been working for a number of years on enhancing or recalibrating of the labor market policies and measures, integrated an introduction of integrated social support to the labor migrants. But also we were working with the ministry, supporting them to roll out some of the measures, and capacity strengthen, particularly in the regions, those regions that are exporting most of the migrants. development of a skills-based, in setting of models for developing of a skills-based trainings and skills based on the EU standards, different type of support, psychological support, family support, and so on. Now we are working on an assessment of the impact of the war in Ukraine on the socioeconomic impact assessment to the migration, the results of which will be ready by the end of the month, we hope, and then we will to come also with a number of recommendations. So let me stop here. Yes, there has been significant focus and progress in terms of the policies that the ministry, the government is taking to better utilize the labor migration potential. There are still, of course, challenges, and we are ready to continue supporting the government in fine-tuning, in rolling it out, adjusting it swiftly, because the world in which we are living, the challenges are like that, nimble action is needed. So we do hope that this event will be useful from that perspective to inspire the policies to come with the new ideas that will come also with a better understanding for those that came from abroad about the vast potential of that Uzbekistan has in terms of migration, and of course that ultimately will be useful for the people who are on move, for them, for their families and the country. Etim boringi suchun kata rahmat.
Thank you for the greetings from the United Nations Development Programme. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Zainal Hajiev, Sub-Regional Coordinator for Central Asia, Chief of Mission, International Organization for Migration, to give his greetings to the conference.
I'm fine, yeah, thanks. Good morning, everyone. Let me start by saying to all of you, Assalamu alaikum. Muhtaram Janab Wazir Husanov, hurmatli hamkarlar, hamkasblar, aziz dostlar, hurmatli hamkasbim dost Matilda, Charlotta. I'll switch to English now, as my Uzbek will not suffice to continue, but I understand a lot. I've been in this region for 3 years now, and over these 3 years I have witnessed a lot of progress, a lot of efforts, emphasis put by the government of Uzbekistan on making its migration management system more effective, especially with a focus on labor migration. We welcome all the efforts made by the government at the level of head of states. The decrees has issued on the protection of the rights of migrants abroad or the citizens of Uzbekistan. We really appreciate it. Uzbekistan has been active not only internally, Uzbekistan has been active also externally by also taking a very strong stand in international forums and agreements such as the Global Compact on Migration that was adopted in 2018, and Uzbekistan was part of this process, and since then has made a lot of progress in implementation of this compact as well. As IOM, International Organization for Migration, of course, as a lead migration agency, we always try also to support the government in all its good efforts. But we also, as agency responsible for supporting the government's implementation of this global compact on migration, together with the resident coordinator of United Nations in Uzbekistan, we have established a network of UN agencies for supporting the government of Uzbekistan implementation of this global compact. And that already gives a lot of positives. My colleagues, the speakers ahead of me, they really described the situation, migration in Uzbekistan, importance of migration for this country. Therefore, I'm not going to focus on this too much. We know that Uzbekistan, with its largest population in the region of Central Asia, with the largest number of labor migrants in the region, and with a significant share of the remittances in the domestic product of the country, and role of migration for social economic development of the country at large, and specifically in remote areas. We all are witnessing that, and therefore it is more valuable that the government of Uzbekistan, specifically the Ministry of Labor and the employment, the relations, it really promotes the protection of rights of migrants, and not only in words but only in actions. The fact of functioning 17 monocenters that provides training and skills for migrants, making the migrants from Uzbekistan more competitive in the labor market, not only in the region, the traditional labor market regions like Russia or Kazakhstan or Turkey, but also beyond. We see the increasing contact between Uzbekistan and the countries of the member states of the European Union, the countries of Southeast Asia, East Asia, in Gulf countries and other directions, which we welcome, support, and appreciate. And through all of these, of course, we are there to provide our expertise and support. And by doing so, we are having a lot of joint initiatives. Our cooperation portfolio in the country, in Uzbekistan, spans from labor mobility to the border protection, the curbing the irregular migration, and migration being as a cross-cutting issue. We believe that the effective management of labor migration will lead also to effective migration management in general. So we have diverse activities, diverse initiatives, and in diverse areas. We have been extremely active in the field of protection of the rights of migrants, curbing the irregular migration by preventing the trafficking in persons. We have made significant progress in this field, and we know that many migrants being on migration, labor migrants also, if not well prepared, they also face a lot of challenges and may fall easy prey for traffickers and all kinds of abusers of human rights. So in this field has been done a lot, and it is good to see that in today, the forum, a lot of people are presenting also there from the employer side. It is highly important, the public and private sector representatives, employers, the setting and discussing with the government, with all stakeholders, the issues around labor migration. We are supporting the government of Uzbekistan with the specific initiatives on labor migration. We recently have started a regional project on labor migration. We just call it labor migration in Central Asia. Uzbekistan is part of it. And this project is a multi-year project for 4 years, supported by the Swiss Development Cooperation Agency. And Uzbekistan part of this project includes supporting the participants of the labor migration process in around the ethical recruitment issues by working with employers, private and public sector, the employers, recruitment agencies, as well as also migrants, to make this process of recruitment process more transparent, more predictable, so that the rights of migrants are better protected. The past several years, like 3 years, we are witnessing like crisis coming after the crisis. We have seen the COVID heavily impacting the migration processes, migrants, families. We have seen the Afghanistan crisis. Now we are witnessing the war in Ukraine that has a lot of impacts on the migration dynamics in the region. And in this regard, I believe that today's forum gets particular importance to have candid discussions and join our efforts to make the whole process of labor migration more manageable, more effective. Recently, we have been working with the government of Uzbekistan, with the partners on migration, defining some indicators for migration governance. We engaged the experts, international experts, national experts, and they came up with a set of recommendations. I'm so pleased to see that already some of those recommendations are being implemented. And we are tuned to continue these efforts. Of course, we will continue working monitoring the situation on the migration dynamics, but not only as a passive monitor, but also we want to actively participate, and we will be participating, supporting our partners. We are working with the development partners together. We believe that the potential of migration is not utilized fully to support the socio-economic development of the country. We know that the labor migration will remain for many years to come part of the employment policy of the country. We see the dynamics of population, the growth. We see the dynamics, the ratio of young generation, the youth in the structure of population of the country. And we see this rather as a great potential for a country to use. The migrants are not only going and sending back remittances, the cash money, but they're also bringing in the social remittances, what we say. They gain a lot of skills. And today's the agenda on international agenda, local agenda, to deal with the impact of climate change, to foster the green development initiative, green energy. We believe the migrants could provide more inputs, more support to the country's development, and we are prepared to work with our development partners, with national partners in this direction as well. So I could go on and on, but I will stop here. Once again, welcome you all on behalf of IUM in this forum. I wish a successful the discussions and thank our partners for inviting me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for the Creatings International Organization for Migration. And next, I'd like to invite Mr. Marco Mantovanelli from the World Bank Country Manager for the Republic of Uzbekistan to give his greetings to the conference.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Kusanov. Aziz Dizlar, assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to be here today. Many years ago now, took a DNA test with National Geographic. It was the early stages of DNA tracing, and they had this project, I think it had the word humanity in it, where they were tracing global migration through history by tracing maternal mitochondrial DNAs. And it was fascinating for me to trace my maternal ancestors walking out of Africa into the Middle East, into the Caucasus, and then down into Europe, where they finally settled. And this is to say that humankind have always migrated. It has been a force that has propelled humankind throughout history, from the very, very early ages. The drive for a better future is too powerful. It is what drives humankind. So now we're talking about global migration in a world that is segmented by barriers, which we call national borders. And this forces us to think how to make this powerful force safe, how to regulate it, how to make it effective. And this is what we heard from our speakers, from the speakers that preceded me. I talk about a global force because truly it is a strong and impressive economic force. I think the World Bank estimated that in 2022, global remittances to low and middle income countries, just the official one, far exceeded 600 billion, 630 billion, I think. That's a lot of money. Just in Uzbekistan's remittances have averaged above 10% of GDP, peaked in some years to 14% of GDP. This far outstrips anything that the World Bank, the European Union, UN share and mobilize in these countries. So there is an economic value to labor migration for the country of origin. There is an important value for the receiving country in terms of contribution to filling jobs and that are maybe not filled by the local labor force. It's also a powerful poverty reduction tool for receiving countries. We trace, in Uzbekistan, we carry out a listening to the citizen of Uzbekistan survey every few months, twice a year. We survey a number of households. And it was very interesting to us to observe as right after the war in Ukraine started and international financial flows were disrupted, how the poorest household in Uzbekistan immediately reported, I am more at risk of not being able to afford putting food on the table. And immediately after the ruble revaluated and the value of remittances bounced back up, the same families were declaring themselves not poor. They're, one of the questions of the survey is, do you consider yourself a poor household? They were not, which indicates how these remittances are truly reaching the most vulnerable households in Uzbekistan, and they are a powerful safety net. So I would like to congratulate the government, Minister Kusanov here, for this forum, but also for the work that they have been doing, including in partnership with the World Bank. The Minister mentioned the importance of supporting competitive and skilled laborers. This is critical. We know, we have strong evidence that international laborers, international migrants that are better skilled, better educated, are migrants that are better protected, are migrants that thrive more, that earn more and integrate more. So this is a critical element of the strategy that the government is pursuing, and we are pleased to support. The investment in human capital in Uzbekistan has been a very important approach during the last 5 years. We have been, as World Bank, helping on different aspects of human capital, but in particular with the Ministry of Labor, we have been working on strengthening the delivery of the services of monocenters. I understand you, the participants here, will visit one of these monocenters, and this provide training for laborers, including future migrants, and so they're very important in that sense. So I hope you will enjoy that visit, and you will learn, like I did a few months ago with the minister in Samarkand, where we inaugurated one of these ones. I appreciated how much work goes into it, but how much output, how much these people that approach them in the centers, they don't have a lot of other opportunities in terms of skilling or reskillings are benefiting from the courses they take there in different professional areas. So we will continue to support the ministry on this path. We're also looking at future opportunities and discussing the possibility of a new project. We are currently supporting social protection in this country, and we are looking at future opportunities also to support the diversification of international migration pathways for Uzbekistan through a diverse set of skills for its laborers. So with that, I would like again to thank the Minister, the government for this event and for inviting the World Bank here. It offers me an opportunity to reinforce our commitment to work on these important themes. So thank you very much. Kata Rahmat.
Thank you for the greetings for the World Bank. And next, I'd like to invite Enrico Pinali, Officer in Charge, Uzbekistan President Mission of Asian Development Bank, to give his greetings to this conference.
Good morning, dear Minister Husanov, distinguished guests, colleagues, partner, Assalamu alaikum. It's a great honor for ADB to participate to this forum and witness the commitment of the government towards human capital development in the country. Just a couple of weeks ago, a lot of us were in Samarkand for the second economic forum, where our president ADB, Vice President ADB, Mr. Chen, made a statement recognizing the importance of human capital development, in particular focusing on the fact that robust economic growth will be impossible without human capital development. Together with SMEs development, human capital reforms will also accommodate the rapid labor force, putting people's aspects squarely at the heart of economic reform. Now, here in Uzbekistan, ADB collaborates with the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations in the effort to improve the skills development for the most vulnerable cohort of the unemployed, and provided $93 million for a project called Skills Development for a Modern Economy. Now, with this project, together with the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education, this project aims to ensure the unemployed as well as the young graduates have the skills necessary to thrive in the modern Uzbek economy, to boost the employment, to improve the competitiveness, as well as to ultimately increase the inclusive growth in the country. Now, together with our partner, we seek to develop the workforce in 5 priority sector trades: construction, textile and garments, information and communication technology, agribusiness and food processing, as well as machinery repairs and maintenance. Now, you say, how is this going to benefit the migrants? The migrants this project will benefit those returning migrants which will pursue the reskilling, recognizing that these are target priority learning domains and skills sector. Now, dear friends, like many other countries in the region, Uzbekistan is still struggling with the adverse economic and social effects of the COVID pandemic, as well, of course, the economic shock that was triggered by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Now, the crisis has severe negative spillover effects, such as high trade costs, rising inflation, rising unemployment, sluggish, or sometimes unpredictable remittance inflows, which can curb the low-income household purchasing power and weaken the private consumption. So to respond to this, we approve a $500 million loan to promote the food security, to provide social protection for the vulnerable groups, and to support the deployment of Uzbekistan. This was just last month. And the program really targets, we estimated, a social assistance to more than 8.9 million people until the end of the year. But this is on social transfer, but again, we will also would like to improve the economic opportunities in cities, especially in secondary cities. So at the same month, we approve another program for just less than 60 million, and this is to support strategic investment in municipal infrastructure in secondary cities like Jizak, Harvas, Kiva, Yangier. And these have, of course, cities that are suffer a bit more because of the COVID pandemic and are definitely vulnerable to climate change. So, for dear forum participants, I think we all firmly believe that the reforms that are being implemented will further improve the employment as well as the skills development sectors. And they're targeted to support the most vulnerable side of the population. And we really think that these reforms will support and yield those, the resilience, a strong resilience in the human development ecosystem. So as a final word, I think, like our development partners here, we are all committed to work with Uzbekistan, and we look forward to learning more about the success that the structural reforms in key sectors of Uzbekistan will bring. Because as the conference we just been a couple of weeks ago, it is clear that the people are the heart of these reforms. Eti Boringits, Uchun Rahmat.
Thank you for the greetings from the Asian Development Bank. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Hans-Ulrich Ihm, Acting Head of Mission, Senior Project Officer, OSCE Project Coordinator in Uzbekistan, to give his greetings to the conference.
Many thanks. Assalamu alaikum, hurmatli hanımlar ve canablar, aziz dostlar, excellencies, dear colleagues and partners, dear representatives of mass media, press, and civil society. On behalf of the OSCE project coordinator in Uzbekistan, I express my gratitude for the invitation to the International Forum on Labor Migration. I am happy for the opportunity to speak here today. The OSCE participating states acknowledge the increasing benefits stemming from effective labor migration management for the socio-economic development, social cohesion, security, and stability in all countries. Labor migrant workers contribute significantly to household incomes and GDP through remittances, savings, and investments. Therefore, promoting effective labor migration policies is an area of strategic relevance for stability and economic growth. We recognize labor migration is a global phenomenon of growing volume and complexity, which can affect the lives of people and the security of nations. At the same time, it has a huge perspective for growth and development, considering the benefits it can provide for all countries involved, including those of origin, transit, and destination. Labor migration has the potential to foster economic growth and sustainable development if managed and regulated properly. In recent years, the PCUs has been implementing a project to support Uzbek national stakeholders in improving labor migration management to ensure that the policies developed and the reforms carried out are based on research evidence, meet the best international practices, and serve to better protect the rights of labor migrants and their families. In particular, we funded a comprehensive research on labor migration policies and practices in Uzbekistan and countries of destination. The purpose of the research was to determine the effectiveness of measures taken to regulate external migration and protect citizens of Uzbekistan engaged in labor activities abroad, as well as to provide evidence-based recommendations thereto. We also supported the establishment of a pre-departure training center for labor migrant workers, which was officially opened in September 2019 as a side event of the Central Asian Conference on Labor Migration, organized also by the OSCE. As a response to a humanitarian and economic emergency caused by the COVID-19 outbreak, we supported the creation of an online consultation platform aimed to support Uzbek labor migrants abroad. The platform immediately demonstrated its viability and usefulness, as hundreds of requests for information, assistance, and consultation have been addressed successfully. Labor migrants gained access to up-to-date information, expert consultancy, legal and employment assistance. In an effort to support economic reintegration, we organized a 3-week capacity-building training course to help reintegrate returning labor migrants. Some 75 returned labor migrants and 75 officers of the Agency of External Labor Migration from across Uzbekistan attended the course. The returned labor migrants developed their entrepreneurship skills, while the officers of the agency worked on methodological skills to strengthen the reintegration of returned migrants into the domestic labor market. We intend to continue our support to our national partners in the light of Uzbekistan encouraging reforms on strengthening the protection of the rights of labor migrants and their families, and expanding the social and legal support provided thereto. This forum represents a good platform for proactive discussions between all relevant stakeholders. It provides an opportunity to address the migration management through collaborative and comprehensive approaches, and as a prospect to increase cooperation for the mutually beneficial future. I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the Minister of Employment and Labor Relations of Uzbekistan and the Agency for External Labor Migration for many years of fruitful cooperation. In particular, I would like to note their efforts on promoting organized and legitimate labor migration, support to labor migrants and their family members. Many thanks also to the colleagues of the Office of the OSCE Project Coordinator in Uzbekistan, and particularly its economic and environmental dimension, for their contributions to the labor migration-related projects I mentioned in my speech. The OSCE Project Coordinator remains open to continue cooperation and expand collaboration to achieve our common goals. Thank you for your attention. I wish you strong health, prosperity, and happiness. Katar Ahmad.
Thank you for the greetings from the OSCE project. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Sherzod Mustafakulov, Director of Nordic International University, to give his greetings to the conference.
Thanks. Assalomu alaykum, hurmatli forum ishtirokchilari, hurmatli vazir o'rinbosari Erkin Muhiddinov hamda elchi xonim Charlotte Endrian va Matilda Dimoska. Xonimlar va janoblar, bugungi mana bu bo'layotgan birinchi mehnat migratsiyasiga bog'liq forumga xush kelibsizlar. Men bu yerda ishtirok etayotganlarni birinchidan o'zimizning nomimizdan va qolaversa mana shu tashkilotchilar nomidan minnatdorchilik bildirmoqchiman. Haqiqatan ham bugun globallashuv davri kuchayayotgan bir sharoitda mehnat migratsiyasi masalalari bilan bog'liq muammolar va ularning yechimi bilan bog'liq masalalar doim insoniyatni, umuman davlatlarni kun tartibida turadi. Bugungi bo'layotgan forumda ham men o'ylaymanki, keyingi plenar sessiyalarda aynan yuqorida ta'kidlangan mehnat migratsiyasi muammolariga bag'ishlangan mavzular hamda muammolar muhokama qilinadi. Ushbu muhokamalar davrida o'ylaymanki, mana shu G2B uchrashuvlari ham juda ham chiroyli tashkil qilinadi degan umiddaman. Hurmatli do'stlar, xabarlar bor. Mana shu mehnat migratsiyasi bilan bog'liq agar raqamlarga e'tibor qaratadigan bo'lsak, bugun dunyoda 300 millionga yaqin mehnat migratsiyasi o'zini vatandan yiroqda, boshqa davlatlarda mehnat bilan bog'liq masalalarda, daromad topish bilan bog'liq masalalarda mehnat qilib kelyapti va bularni bugungi kunda topayotgan daromadlariga e'tibor qaratadigan bo'lsak, 600 milliard AQSh dollarini tashkil etadi. Mana shu 600 milliard AQSh dollarini topishda o'ylaymanki, rivojlangan mamlakatlar hamda rivojlanayotgan mamlakatlarga juda katta mehnat oqimlari ko'chib borishi, o'ylaymanki, oldin faqat rivojlanayotgan mamlakatlardan rivojlangan mamlakatlarga mehnat migrantlari kelayotgan bo'lsa, bugungi kunda trendlar o'zgaryapti. Nafaqat endi faqat rivojlanayotgan mamlakatlardan, balki rivojlangan mamlakatlardan ham rivojlanayotgan mamlakatlarga mehnat migratsiyasi kuzatilmoqda. Bu nimadan dalolat beradi? Buni bitta farqi borki, rivojlanayotgan mamlakatlardan rivojlanayotgan mamlakatlarga borayotgan mehnat migrantlari bilan u yerdan kelayotgan mehnat migrantlari o'rtasidagi tafovut yagona bilim va amaliy ko'nikmalarda. Mana shu borada bugungi kunda universitetlar, institutlar, umuman ilmiy tadqiqot tashkilotlari tomonidan mana shu muammolarni o'rganish bilan bog'liq masalalarni hal qilish o'ylaymanki, bugungi mana shu forumni ham bitta vazifasi sifatida qarash kerak, chunki xalqaro mehnat bozorida talab va taklif bilan bog'liq masalalar, o'sha muvozanatlikni ta'minlash bilan ikkala tomon ham yutadigan jihatlar bor. Bu nafaqat o'sha rivojlanayotgan mamlakatlardan borgan mehnat migrantlari uchun pul daromadlari, balki o'sha davlatni ham yalpi ichki mahsulotini oshirishga xizmat qiladigan o'sha eng katta resurslardan biri sifatida iqtisodiy resurslarni e'tibor qaratadigan bo'lsak, bironta resurs mehnat resurschalik qo'shimcha qiymat yarata olmaydi. Shuning uchun bizni asosiy vazifalarimizdan bittasi bugungi kunda mana shu faqatgina qora ishchi yoki bo'lmasa qo'l mehnatiga ixtisoslashgan migrantlarimizni tashqi dunyoga jo'natish emas. Bugun asosiy masalalardan bittasi mana shu universitetlar, institutlar oldida turgan vazifalardan bittasi o'ylaymanki, mana shu oq yoqali ishlarga biz mehnat migrantlari sifatida o'zimizni fuqarolarimizni jo'natish vaqti keldi deb o'ylaymiz. Buning uchun esa universitetlar oldida, institutlar oldida, ilmiy tadqiqot tashkilotlari oldida juda ham katta vazifalar ko'ndalang turibdi. Mana shularni yechish borasida birinchidan til bilan bog'liq masalalar, ikkinchidan zamonaviy texnika, texnologiyalarni o'rgatish bilan bog'liq, bilimlarni o'rgatish bilan bog'liq va eng asosiysi o'sha ko'nikmalarni o'rgatish bilan bog'liq masalalarni hal qilishimiz kerak. Agar e'tibor qaratadigan bo'lsak, rivojlangan mamlakatlardan bugun rivojlanayotgan mamlakatlarda juda katta o'sha mehnat migrantlarida tafovut shundan ekanki, ya'ni ular dizaynerlar, injenerlar, ya'ni muhandislar va o'qituvchilar bilan bog'liq mana shu mehnat migrantlarini kuzatishimiz mumkin ekan. Shuning uchun o'ylaymanki, mana shu borada forum o'z oldiga qo'ygan o'sha maqsadlarni amalga oshirishda bu yerda o'tirganlarning barchasiga men alohida minnatdorchilik va tashakkur bildiraman va forumni keyingi uchrashuvlarda ham, G2B uchrashuvlarda ham o'ylaymanki, juda katta muzokaralar va muloqotlar amalga oshadi. E'tiborlaringiz uchun rahmat.
Thank you for the greetings from the Nordic International University. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Bakhdir Kalbav, General Director of Cypro Group LLC, to give his greetings to the conference.
Thank you very much, Mina. Assalomu alaykum, hurmatli migratsiya bo'yicha xalqaro forum qatnashchilari, mehmonlari, barchaga xush kelibsiz deyman. mana shu bugun va ertaga o'z ishini davom ettiradigan mazkur forumimizning formati doirasida mehnat migratsiyasiga oid dolzarb masalalarni muhokama qilish va fikr almashishga qaratilgan plenar sessiyalar, G2B, B2B ko'rinishidagi uchrashuvlar, ikki tomonlama kelishuvlarni imzolash, eng yaxshi xorijiy ish beruvchilarni taqdirlash kabi tadbirlar ko'zda tutilgan. O'ylaymanki, forumning bunday formati barcha ishtirokchilar uchun foydali va samarali bo'ladi. Fursatdan foydalanib, mazkur forumni tashkil etishda O'zbekiston Respublikasi Bandlik va mehnat munosabatlari vazirligi rahbariyati, xususan vazir Nozim Baxtiyorovich Husanovga mazkur forumni tashkil etishda bevosita va prinsipial qo'llab-quvvatlovlari uchun tashakkurli bildirmoqchiman. Shuningdek, mazkur forumning tashkilotchilari, xususan Tashqi mehnat migratsiyasi agentligi, BMTning rivojlanish dasturi, Xalqaro Nordik universitetiga, forumni qo'llab-quvvatlagan Xalqaro migratsiya tashkilotiga, Winrock International tashkilotiga hamda Paysent kompaniyasiga o'z minnatdorchiligimni bildirmoqchiman. Mehnat migratsiyasi bo'yicha xalqaro forum ishtirokchilariga va forum faoliyatiga muvaffaqiyat tilayman. E'tiboringiz uchun rahmat.
Thank you for the greetings from the Cypher Group.
Hurmatli tomoshabinlar, siz jonli efirlarda xavfsiz, qonuniy va tartibga solingan mehnat munosabatlariga asoslangan mehnat migratsiyasi xalqaro 2022 forumini tomosha qilyapsiz. Hozirgina forumning ochilish sessiyasi o'z nihoyasiga yetmoqda va kun davomida kun tartibiga muvofiq turli sessiyalarda forum o'z ishini davom ettiradi. Bundan tashqari forum ishida ishtirok etayotgan 20 dan ortiq mamlakatlarning 70 dan ortiq ish beruvchi kompaniyalar bilan birgalikda B2B, G2B formatdagi uchrashuvlar bo'lib o'tadi. Eng yaxshi ilg'or ish beruvchilarni taqdirlash marosimi ham bo'lib o'tadi. Ularni ham e'tiboringizga jonli efirlarda havola etishga harakat qilamiz. Bizda esa hozircha shu. E'tiboringiz uchun tashakkur deymiz.
Next we will start with the first plenary session, and it will last. We are behind schedule at the moment, but because the topic is very important, I hope it doesn't mind. We are going to have very distinguished speakers here, and I'd like to invite first His Excellency, First Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour Relations of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Mr. Erkin Mukhitdinov, to talk about the system of safe, orderly and legal labour migration in the Republic of Uzbekistan. The stage is yours, please.
Assalomu alaykum xonimlar va janoblar, hurmatli forum qatnashchilari, mehmonlar, hamkasblar, do'stlar, xush kelibsizlar forumimizga. Qatnashganingiz uchun katta rahmat. Дорогие друзья, партнеры, участники форума, большое спасибо за участие. Мы рады вашему участию и приезду в наш Узбекистан, если говорю о зарубежных гостях. So, dear guests, participants in forum, thank you very much for coming. I hope participation in this forum will be very fruitful and effective for you. So, my presentation is called Labour Potential of the Republic of Uzbekistan. We are a country with huge labour potential, you know, the most dense, the biggest in the case of population country of Central Asia, and we need, we think, we want this potential will serve for the development of our country and for the interest of our people. Also in the field of labour migration, we are very interested with partnership with foreign countries, foreign employers, foreign state agencies, and we have a lot of things we can offer to our partners. For instance, partnership in the enhancing human capital, help to support the logistic and transport issues, and many others. Instead, we want our people work abroad on safe, safe job places, decent job places, legally and socially protected job places, and of course, to have a good level of income. First of all, just a couple of words about our demography economic potential. I understand you're a little bit tight because of presentations. I will try to do it more interesting for you and more simple, more easier. Okay, now population comes to 36 million people, and the annual population growth reaches almost 2%, is very high in terms of demography in the world. And number of labor resources, it means people in the labor age, is about 20 million. You see economic active people 50 million, employed 13.8, and can you see we have a lot of people working in informal sector, and of course we have almost 2 million people who is working abroad. It is labor migrants. And unemployment rate decreasing compared to previous years. It was more than 9% year before. Now it comes under 9%, but still it's quite high, and especially quite among women and young people. Next slide, please. As you see, our working age population is growing very fast, from 10 million in 1990s to almost 20 last year, increased twice. But if you can see, the pace of growth is decreasing in the coming years. It means that for Uzbekistan, demographic window of demographic opportunities, as Matilda put it, is decreasing, and maybe to years 2050, it will be not so good as it is now. The same average, we are very young country, very young population. You see average age is now is under 30, but it also will grow in the coming years. As Mark also put it, we have almost 700,000 people which coming on the labor market every year, and the number will increase. Unfortunately, economy now is the size and the structure of economy do not give opportunities to employ all the people. The same it was in Finland when people migrated to Sweden in the last century, I think. But economy in Uzbekistan could create about 500,000 decent jobs in a year. So you could see we have not amount job places for about 200,000, 250,000 people, and in this case we need for cooperation and labor migration. So, the next slide please. Uzbekistan has his own policy of labor migration. It comes from main fundamental convention of ILO and International Organization of Migration. The policy calls safe, orderly, and legal labor migration system. Next, please. Our policy consists of three main pillars. First of all, they call it before, preparing people before they're going abroad, trainings, language training, professional training, help to find employers, help to find vacancies, help to solve many issues, financial, transport, logistic issues before going abroad. The second pillar is while or when, support our people when they are working abroad, support legally, by legal support, financial support, other kinds of supports, just simply to keep in touch with them when they are working abroad. The third pillar is after, we call it after, help our people, migrants, to reintegrate on the national labor market after then coming back to our country. So let me just describe it in more detail, our system. So next one, please. You see, as our minister put it, the most important thing for us is professional language training skills for migrants before they are going abroad. It's very important for us. Now we have a system of professional language training in Uzbekistan. Many of us saw it. As Marco put it, it's a system of monocenters. We have 60 monocenters in large cities, in the centers of regions, and also 56 vocational training centers in districts. We call it Oblast Rayon. or vilayat tuman. Also, we have we have about 9,000 mahallas, communities in Uzbekistan, and now we have a task, have a job, grade by grade, step by step, open the so-called small vocational training centers in neighborhoods in mahallas. Now we have almost 500, but I believe in the future we can cover almost all of mahallas in our country by the network of professional training centers. And also we also have special 13 colleges in the field of construction, and we cooperate with 368 colleges and vocational training centers from under our ministries and private educational institutions also. You can see the number of professions. We started with 4 professions in industry, for example, in 2018, but now we have 14. Now we have 31 professions in the field of in the service sector, and also 9 professions in agri-technology. Number of trained people, people only trained for labor migration, because for overall training we have much bigger figures. Now, if you see, if you can see that for years 2021, this year, we have almost 50,000 people which trained before going abroad. Now I give you couple of examples how we work with countries of destination in the field of professional training. Now we can see special vocational training centers organized by the Korean grants of Korean government, KOICA, Korean International Cooperate Agency. You know, many of us, you should know that Korea is also one of our biggest partners in the field of labor migration. We have stable outflow of migration each year to Korea. We have special agreements with the government of Korea to sending people to work in the field of construction, agriculture, and many other sectors. You can see we have now 4 centers in Tashkent, Samarkand, Shahrizabz, and Fergana, which train people not only for migration, all unemployed people, but also including people, of course, people who wants to go to labor migration abroad. Next one, please. Next is cooperation in the construction field. Mainly we started with Russia, because Russia is our main market for labor migration. It remains the main market for labor migration. And we opened, under the order of our president, 13 centers in the regions which train people in the field of construction on the orders of company of Russian Federation, construction companies Russian Federation. You can see the number of professions which needed in the field of construction. Next one, please. So these centers, we have dormitory centers, 3 times a meal a day, and also we pay tuition for people who are trained in these construction centers. The same for our centers also. Next one, just pictures to give you imagination what kind of professions we train in these centers. Next one, please. So, the third example, cooperation with European countries, namely Germany in the field of labor migration. You see the also very important field of cooperation in labor migration is training in medical field. We have partners from Switzerland, from Germany. You can see the numbers of company here. Which kind of mechanism we organize here? First of all, we train people on the profession and languages, namely German language. For 9 or 10 months. After that, they should have a certificate of in German language. After that, we'll send people to work in the hospitals of Germany for work. You know, we have a very big comparative advantages in this field, because in Uzbekistan there are 10 medical universities and 75 medical colleges, and if I'm not mistaken, almost 50,000 nurses graduates from these centers each year. So we have a lot of candidates to working abroad in the field of medical field. Just next, please, a couple of pictures to show you how people is interested in this project. The next is, next please. Train in the agri-industrial sector. So far we have 2 countries as a partners, 3 countries by the way, as a partners for agricultural industrial sector is UK, Korea, and Russia. Next, please. Training in hospitality sphere. We can see this also a very interesting and very sector with high potential in the field of cooperation in labor migration, I mean hospitality sphere, and we want to increase the number of people who is working abroad, who going to work abroad in the field of hospitality. Next, you see our employers. We have so far agreement between Agency of External Labor Migration and our ministry and about 500 employers from many countries, mostly from Russia, Kazakhstan, but the number of partners from Germany, Japan is also growing. You can see the geography from Canada to Switzerland, many countries. Which fields of employment of citizens now is most popular? Is medical field, agriculture, constructions, light industry, equipment maintenance, logistics and service, food industry, and others. You can see below the figures of citizens of Uzbekistan which were sent organizedly by our agency of external labor migration and private employment agencies. You can see the high inflow of people in 2021, more than 100,000, but it mostly because of restrictions, post-pandemic restrictions at that time. That's why it was very important for all employers to send people abroad through our agency to avoid restrictions on the borders. This year we have KPI on sending more than 30,000 people abroad, and I believe we can reach it. Next, just a couple of support we are giving to labor migrants. Next, please. Just an example of support we give for labor migrants is a special set of program of subsidies given to passing the qualifying exam. So I mean, labor migrants have an exam, foreign languages, professions, and we're covering the expenses on this test. Next one, we give subsidy for purchase a ticket, up to $50 on each, and else. Third, we have a special subsidy for covering expenses on the obtaining a work visa. It's about $120,000. Of course, we have another set of preferences. For instance, we're providing professional training and language training free of charge for the migrants if they're registered in our special labor migration information system. Also, we're providing free of charge for employers' place of selecting people. Also, we can cover some kind of logistic and transport support inside Uzbekistan. Next, this one. Just a couple of words about working abroad. We have representatives office of our agency for external labor migration in 16 in Russia, in many regions in Russia, also Korea, in Turkey and Kazakhstan. Also, we have special attaché on embassies of Uzbekistan abroad, in Russia free, and Kazakhstan also free. And now we have from this year special juridical center for legal assistance of labor migrants in Moscow City, in the main administrative representatives of Agency of Labor Migration in Moscow City. And also we are planning to open one in Nagoya in Japan also. So you can see the numbers for this year. We're providing consultations for tens of thousands of our migrants abroad, also legal assistance, and we have special instruments, mechanisms to cover expenses of legal advisors and lawyers, which would help our migrants abroad. Also social support. We have special financial aid to migrants who is in a difficult situation, just sending their money on their banking card, and also providing covering expenses on the hostel expenses when migrants, let's say, are without just accommodation, place of living. We can cover expenses of accommodation or hostel up to $300. Sorry, and also we can provide transportation costs for people who is in a difficult situation but want to come back home. Now we have special reintegration program for labor migrants. Now we can see example of programs together with OSED, just to help migrants to find job when they're coming home, to provide them retraining programs, to give special subsidies for starting entrepreneurship activity, to invite them on the public works, and many, many others. The main purpose is to give the migrants who is coming back to home chance to utilize their professional skills or maybe some savings to to employ themselves and to employ our people when they're coming back home. You will see number of citizens return to Uzbekistan is more than 500,000 people. From it, 169 were provided with employment. Next one, couple of words about regional monocenters. Ishke Marhamat, welcome to job. As I said, we have 16 in the regional centers. They provide 6 directions, not only training. First of all, of course, training, about 30 professions in industry, service, agriculture. Second is foreign languages, especially for labor migrants. Which kind of languages? English, German, Korean, Japanese, Turkey, Russian, mainly. The third is entrepreneurship activity trainings, short time, just to give financial and other knowledge, skills to open their own entrepreneurship activity. The fourth is quality assessment, because we have a number of people who mostly work in informal, they have no formal acceptance of their knowledge, have no documents which can approve their knowledge. So we can provide with documents before they should have an exam. The fifth, support with employment abroad in Uzbekistan, in their home country. And the sixth, support to provide support to find job place abroad. Which monocenters, which thank very much for World Bank and UNDP also, which help us to equip the centers on the best level. Please visit it. I assure there is no such example, at least in our region. Also, we have now in our project, we want to open affiliates of monocenters in the districts. Firstly, about 30, let's say next year, and then step by step, we want to open affiliates of monocenters in all of 205 regions, districts in our country, which is very important, very big project, and thanks for the World Bank, which will support our project also, I believe, for the next time, and also thank for UNDP. And we have also very ambitious program with ADB also for covering our 14 regional centers, equip and renovate our 14 regional centers, district centers next year. Here you see another example of our cooperation with international organizations, with a project together with International Organization of Migration, establishing a pilot skills development center for potential labor migrants in our Namangan monocenter. Just another examples of our training in the monocenters. So what's the main message of my presentation? As I said, Uzbekistan has a well-developed policy of labor migration, and we have a lot of opportunities to prepare people before they're going abroad. As I said, professional training, language training, solving many issues before going abroad. They have opportunities to help people when they're working abroad. And thirdly, they have opportunities to reintegrate them when they're coming back to their home. So what we need for employers? We need for employers to provide us with as I put it in the beginning, is very important. Decent jobs, socially protected jobs, legally protected jobs, and of course jobs with a good level of salaries. For that, we have now a lot of services to help employers to have more qualified, more developed, more prepared labor force before going abroad. I think that's it. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer. So once more, welcome to Uzbekistan. I will hope after this forum we will have opportunities to increase our cooperation in the field of labor migration. We want to make this forum annually, each year, 2023, 2024, etc. And I think the growing number of employers and experts from abroad will come to our forum each year, and it will give a good impulse, momentum to a developing of labor migration policy in Uzbekistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the very interesting presentation. It's always impressive to see demographic trends that are so opposite to what we witness in the European Union countries at the moment concerning birth rates and the number of labor in our countries. We're going to have 4 more presentations of about 10 minutes. I kindly ask you to keep in about 10 minutes because coffee is waiting for us. And after that, we have a couple of minutes time for questions and comments if the audience have such. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Afzal Irmatov, Head of the Agency for External Labour Migration, to talk about the role of the Agency for External Labour Migration under the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations of the Republic of Uzbekistan in the realization and implementation of the labour migration system of Uzbekistan. The stage is yours.
Assalomu alaykum, hurmatli xalqaro forum ishtirokchilari. Barchangizni O'zbekistonda birinchi marta o'tkazilayotgan mehnat migratsiyasi bo'yicha xalqaro forumni ko'rib turganimizdan xursandmiz. Va buning uchun barcha hamkorlarimizga Tashqi mehnat migratsiyasi agentligi nomidan minnatdorchilik bildiramiz. O'ylaymanki, oxirgi yillarda tashqi mehnat migratsiyasi sohasida tartibga solish borasida O'zbekistonda amalga oshirilayotgan islohotlar xorijiy davlatlarning vakolatli davlat tashkilotlari va salohiyatli ish beruvchilari bilan erishilgan kelishuvlar hamda bugungi tadbir ishtirokchilari tarkibi forumning yuqori saviyada o'tkazish hamda amaliy natijalarga erishishda imkoniyat beradi. Endi yuqorida vazirimizning birinchi o'rinbosarlari migratsiya sohasida O'zbekistonda olib borilayotgan barcha ishlar haqida batafsil ma'lumot berdilar. Shuning uchun men ozgina qisqaroq qilib aytib o'tmoqchi edim. Umuman forum ochilishida spikerlarimiz tomonidan ta'kidlangan so'zlarga qo'shimcha ravishda aytmoqchiman. Tashqi mehnat migratsiya agentligi 15 dan ortiq O'zbekiston Respublikasi qonunlari, Prezident va Vazirlar Mahkamasi qaror va farmoyishlari hamda boshqa hujjatlar asosida ish olib boradi. Masalan, yuqorida aytib o'tilgandek, xavfsiz, tartibli va qonuniy mehnat migratsiyasi tizimi joriy qilish chora-tadbirlari to'g'risidagi Prezident qarorlari bu borada muhim ahamiyatga ega bo'ladi. So'nggi yillar davomida migratsiya geografiyasini kengaytirish orqali xorijda ishlash istagida bo'lgan yurtdoshlarimizni dunyoda rivojlangan davlatlarga ishga jalb qilish qamrovi kengaydi. Ushbu yo'nalishda xorijning vakolatli davlatlari va salohiyatli ish beruvchilari bilan doimiy muzokaralar olib borish natijasida bugungi kunda 30 dan ortiq davlatlarning 500 ga yaqin tashkilotlari bilan hamkorlik kelishuvlari imzolanib, O'zbekiston fuqarolari tashkillashtirilgan tartibda xorijga ishga jo'natilmoqda. Xorijda ishlash istagidagi fuqarolarni ketishdan oldin chet tiliga va kasbga tayyorlashda alohida e'tibor qarilmoqda. Bu borada mana yuqorida aytib o'tilganidek, Shvetsariyaning Global Gate Recruiting tashkiloti, Germaniyaning Opaska tashkiloti va Novo Agency tashkilotlari, bundan tashqari Birlashgan Arab Amirligining Unique Human Resource Consulting tashkiloti bilan hamkorlikda amalga oshirilayotgan loyiha alohida ahamiyat kasb etadi. Mana shunda amaliyotni boshqa davlatlar bilan ham amalga oshirish rejalashtirilmoqda. Agar raqamlarga e'tibor beradigan bo'lsak, joriy yil boshida xorijda manzilli ishga joylashtirilgan fuqarolar soni 31 mingga yaqin. 47 mingga yaqin fuqaro kasb-hunar va chet tillarga o'qitishga jalb qilingan. Xorijiy davlatlarda bo'lib turgan 242 ming nafar mehnat migrantlariga huquqiy, moddiy va ijtimoiy yordam agentlik tomonidan ko'rsatilgan. Albatta, sohada mavjud imkoniyatlar bilan chegaralanib qolish kerak emas. Sohani yanada rivojlantirish, hamkorlikni yanada kengaytirish uchun ushbu forum muhim rol o'ynaydi. Buning uchun sizlar tomoningizdan beriladigan har qanday fikr va takliflarga biz ochiqmiz. Mazkur forum nafaqat O'zbekistondagi mehnat migratsiyasi sohasidagi yutuqlar to'g'risida, balki ushbu yo'nalishni rivojlantirishda ko'rilayotgan chora-tadbirlar, shuningdek chet ellik mutaxassislar tomonidan olib borilayotgan tajribalar bo'yicha fikr almashish yuzasidan axborot va muhokama platformasi bo'lib xizmat qiladi deb o'ylaymiz. Shu bilan birga forum jarayonida konstruktiv ruhda o'tishga umid qilamiz. Umid qilgan holda plenar sessiyasi ishiga omad tilab qolamiz. E'tiboringiz uchun katta rahmat. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, and I agree this forum, which if I understand right, is the first of its kind and very important as regards labor migration in this country and concerning other countries. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Veselin Shalachev, President of the United Business Club, member of the Board of Directors of the European Council of the Alliance of Small and Medium Businesses in Brussels, to give his presentation about reintegration issues, the advantage of working with the European Union. The stage is yours, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hurmatli xanımlar ve janoblar. Assalamu alaikum. Well, my Uzbek is awful. Well, today I will speak about the reintegration issues and the advantages of working in the European Union. The next slide, please. Starting with a simple permit for work, the procedure for issuing a single permit for work is in line with the Single Permit Directive adopted in 2011. It establishes a simplified application procedure and one single permit for both the right to work and to stay in the EU. The directive also gives many non-EU nationals working in the EU the right to be treated equally to EU nationals in many respects, including working conditions, social security, recognitions of qualifications, and tax benefits. The single permit for work is issued for a period of 3 years, and when the term of the employment contract is shorter than 3 years, the permit is issued for the duration of the contract. Access to the labor market is permitted for the occupation of positions for which Bulgarian or EU member country citizenship is not required by law. The offered conditions of work and pay are not less favorable than the conditions for Bulgarian citizens for the relevant category of work. The necessary documents for issuing a single permit for work are, first, application form, a copy of a passport of a document replacing it with the pages of the photo and the foreigner's personal data, a criminal record certificate issued by the country of which the foreigner is a citizen, or by the country of his habitual residence, evidence of insured housing, documents for education, specialty, legal capacity, professional qualification, and experience of the worker, citizen of a third country, legalized according to the relevant order. Declaration by the employer that the conditions of work and pay are respected and that they are not less favorable than the conditions for Bulgarian citizens for the relevant category of work. A copy of a fixed-term employment contract concluded under the terms of Bulgarian legislation, certified by the employer. A copy of the job description when it is an integral part of the contract. Mandatory medical insurance valid on the territory of the Republic of Bulgaria for the entire period of residence when the foreigner is not insured under the law of health insurance. Other documents that are required according to Bulgarian legislation for occupying the position specified by the employer when such are necessary. And now about the seasonal workers permit. The procedure of issuing a seasonal workers permit is in line with the Directive 2014/36 EU on the conditions of entry and stay of third country nationals for the purpose of employment as seasonal workers. Seasonal work can be up to 90 days, then a short stay visa issued for the purposes of seasonal work if needed, and there is no need of work permit. After the arrival of the worker, his employer must register his employment at the employment agency relevant local directorate employment office where he is established. About the seasonal work between 90 days to 10 months, the permit is issued to foreigners who apply for a resident permit for the purpose of seasonal work from 90 days up to 9 months within each 12-month period. Access to the labor market is permitted for the occupation of positions for which Bulgarian citizenship is not required by law. By list of economic sectors, including activities, implementation on which it depends on the change of seasons, and the two sectors are included in it. The first one, agriculture, forestry, and fisheries, and the second one is hotels and restaurants. When the offered conditions of work and pay are not less favorable than the conditions for Bulgarian citizens for the relevant category of work, and when the foreigner has specialized knowledge, skills, and professional experience. The employer has provided the seasonal worker with suitable housing that meets all safety and health requirements until the contract expires. The employer is obliged to cover at his own expense the transportation costs from the seasonal worker's place of origin to his place of work in the Republic of Bulgaria and back, as well as the costs of the mandatory health insurance and insurance of the seasonal worker. The rental price of the dwelling and transport costs cannot be deducted from the worker's remuneration. The necessary documents for issuing a seasonal worker's permit are similar to the previous one. Then, the next one, please. We'll speak about the intercorporate transferee residence permit. The procedure for issuing an intercorporate transferee residence permit is in the line with the Directive 2014/66 of EU on the conditions of entry and residence of third country nationals in the framework of an intercorporate transfer. The permit is issued for a period of 1 year and may be renewed. The persons transferred during an intercorporate transfer perform work on the territory of the Republic of Bulgaria only for a specific receiving enterprise or group of enterprises that have submitted an application to the employment agency for this purpose. Only persons transferred as part of an intercorporate transfer as managers, specialists, and interns are covered by this procedure. Manager is the person who holds a senior management position and works under the supervision of the owner or a collective management body of the host enterprise. The next one, Specialist is a person who works in a division of the enterprise or in an enterprise belonging to the same group of enterprises with headquarters of management address in the territory of Republic of Bulgaria and possesses a specialized knowledge that is essential for the areas of activity, techniques, or the management of the host enterprise. Intern is a person who has a higher education and is transferred to the receiving enterprise for the purpose of professional development or training in the field of business techniques or methods, and who receives payment for the period of the transfer. The persons must have worked in the same enterprise or group of enterprises for not less than 12 months without interruption, immediately before the date of submission of the application. This is for the managers and specialists, and not less than 6 months without interruption for interns. The necessary documents for issuing such a permit are similar to the previous ones. The other one that you can have very good opportunities in Europe is to make your own business. Please, the other slide. Okay? So it's very easy to establish your own company in Europe. Many subsidies for startups, especially in the field of industry, digitalization, research and innovation, IT and artificial intelligence, renewable energy, green tech, etc. These are a lot of subsidies. There are a lot of subsidies for such kind of companies. There are a lot of grants for European SMEs. More than 148 EU programs and funds are in Europe where the SMEs can get grants up to 2.5 million euro. 2.5 million euro you can get as a grant, and the intensity of the grant is from 70 up to 100%, the intensity of the grant. So it is like a present for you. But if the company is registered in the EU, well, there are some possibilities if your companies are registered in Uzbekistan also, but there are only few programs like the first sorry, the previous slide. It is the next one, the previous one. Okay. In Uzbekistan, Uzbekistan is an eligible country also in the program Horizon Europe and Erasmus+. In Horizon Europe, the main thing that you have to have innovation in your ideas and in your business, and through this instrument of Horizon Europe, which is European Innovation Council, it is the special instrument for the SMEs and especially the sub-programs Pathfinder, Transition and Accelerator. In these programs, you can get up to 2.5 million euro only applying as one company. For the first one, for the Pathfinder, if you are in a consortium, you can apply for 3 million euro for 100% intensity of the grant, but you have to have a partnership with minimum three partners, partnership of minimum 3 partners. The other interesting program is COSME. It is the program for competitiveness of SMEs in Europe. The European Agricultural Fund that is giving a lot of money for agricultural activities. Erasmus Plus program, it is the program for education with a budget of more than 30 billion euro for the program period. In Horizon Europe, it is about 100 billion euro. You can imagine how much money this is the budget in Europe for these programs. The European Social Fund, through this social fund, you can get up to 50,000 euro in order to establish your own, to set up your own company, a startup company. Creative Europe is the program that is for culture. The Interreg program, it is a very good, interesting program again, but it is only for EU companies. And there are a lot of programs that are managed on the national level. Lots of programs where you can buy machines, you can buy a building, you can buy patents, etc., etc. Almost for everything, there are grants but your company must be established in an European country. Well, the next slide, please. Why SME? Because the SMEs are the backbone of each democratic economy. In Europe now, there are more than 23 million of SMEs in the European Union, accounting for 99% of the businesses in Europe. So 99% of the businesses in Europe are small and medium-sized enterprises. And 70% of the private sector jobs are in the SMEs. Around 58% of the GDP in EU is provided by the SMEs. So we are speaking about the SMEs. Let me tell you what is the definition of SME. According to the recommendation of the European Commission in 2003, you may see that a micro company, we're starting with micro company. A micro company is this company that you have employees between 1 and 9 employees and a turnover or balance sheet for 2 million euro. Small company is that company from 10 employees up to 49 employees and a turnover or balance sheet of up to 10 million. And a medium-sized company, it is a company that has up to 250, it means between 50 and 249 employees, a turnover of up to 50 million euro and 43 million balance sheet. So, what is the whole conclusion? The next slide, please. Our conclusion is that first, the people of Uzbekistan are very kind and hospitable. It is always a great pleasure for us to visit your beautiful country and meet your wonderful people. People of Uzbekistan are very good, disciplined, honest and hardworking. The people of Uzbekistan are willing to improve and become better and better at what they do. The Republic of Uzbekistan is governed by a wise government led by President Mirziyoyev, an incredible visionary, innovator and technocrat concerned about his people and the development of his country, investing in the better future of the Republic of Uzbekistan. The next slide. We at United Business Clubs love Uzbekistan and the people of Uzbekistan. Therefore, we firmly state, wherever you are in Europe, whatever business you have or whatever job you do, we at United Business Clubs will always be by your side. We will protect your interests and be the best ambassador of your ideas, your culture, your traditions, and your striving to improve. Welcome to Bulgaria. Welcome to Europe. Thank you for your attention. Etipurungis uchun kottakon rahmat.
Thank you for the very interesting presentation, and I can agree with all the very nice things about Uzbekistan in the last slide. Very nice people, very kind people, and I hope to be able to come back here one day. Next, I'd like to invite Kwon Tae-kwon, representative of the Korea Human Resource Development Service, to give a presentation of the topic Implementation of the Employment Permit System between Uzbekistan and the Republic of Korea, results of 15 years of cooperation. Please.
네, 라그맛. 저는 한우 양국 간의 고용화제 사업 운영과 관련하여 사업 운영의 발전을 위해 한국 정부를 대표해서 우즈베키스탄에 파견 주재하고 있는 한국산업인력공단 우즈베키스탄 EPS 센터장입니다. 먼저 설명에 앞서 공호영화제 등 양국 간, 한우 양국 간 우호 협력 사업에 관한 설명을 자리를 마련해 주신 고용부 장관님을 비롯한 우즈베키스탄 정부 측에 깊은 감사 인사를 드립니다. 먼저 고용화제 제도 운영에 대해서 간략히 말씀드리도록 하겠습니다. 한국은 과거에는 외국 인력의 도입 사업을 민간이 주도하여 운영하였습니다. 하지만 운영 과정에서 많은 문제점들이 발생했습니다. 체계적이지 못한 관리 운영, 인력 선발과 취업 활성 과정에서 각종 비리 및 브로커 개입 등의 문제, 그리고 근로자에 대한 인권 침해 등이 그것이었습니다. 한국 정부에서는 이러한 문제점들을 심각한 문제로 인식을 하고 이를 해소하기 위해 정부가 직접 외국 인력을 도입 관리할 필요성을 느끼게 되었습니다. 이에 2003년도에 죄송합니다. 다시 통역이 잘 안 되어서 다시 좀 설명을 하도록 하겠습니다.
Uzr перевод bo'lolmay qoldi bu yoqda, shuning uchun boshqatdan qaytaramiz.
먼저 고용화재 제도 운영에 대해 다시 한번 말씀드리도록 하겠습니다.
Assalomu alaykum. Men Koreya va O'zbekiston o'rtasida bandlikka ruxsat berish tizimini Koreya hukumat tomonidan O'zbekistonga tayinlangan vakili inson resurslarini rivojlantirish xizmatini O'zbekiston EPS markaz rahbari Mr. Kwon Taekyon bo'laman. Eng avvalo o'z minnatdorchiligimni bildirmoqchi edim vazirimizga va hukumatga menga shunaqa imkoniyat berishgani uchun. Hozir ozgina bizni tashkilot haqida, tizim haqida tushuntirib o'taman deyaptilar.
고용화재 설명에 앞서서 먼저 고용화재 제도 운영에 대해서 말씀 좀 드리도록 하겠습니다.
Eng avvalo bandlikka ruxsat berish tizimi EPS haqida qisqacha tushuntirib o'taman.
네, 한국은 과거에 외국 인력 도입 사업을 민간이 주도하여 운영하였습니다.
Koreyada 60da 1993-yillarda mamlakatda ishchi kuchi tanqisligi bartaraf etish uchun xususiy sektorlar orqali chet ellik ishchilarni ishga jalb qilgan.
하지만 운영 과정에서 많은 문제점들이 발생하였습니다.
Biroq ishlash jarayonida ko'plab muammolar paydo bo'lgan.
체계적이지 못한 관리 운영, 인력 선발과 취업 활성 과정에서 각종 비리 및 브로커 개입 문제, 그리고 근로자에 대한 인권 침해 등이 그것이었습니다.
Tizimsiz boshqaruv faoliyati yuritish, joriy etish va vositachilik qilish, brokerlar aralashuvi, ishchilarga nisbatan inson huquqlarini buzilish turli qonunbuzarliklar sodir etilgan.
네, 한국 정부에서는 이러한 문제점들을 심각한 문제로 인식하게 되었습니다.
Koreya hukumati buni jiddiy muammo deb bildi va uni hal qilish uchun
따라서 이를 해소하기 위해 정부가 직접 외국 인력을 도입 관리할 필요성을 느끼게 되었습니다.
hukumat o'zi chet ellik ishchilarni kirib kelishini bevosita boshqarish zarurligini anglab yetdi.
이에 2003년도에 관련법을 제정한 후 2007년 1월 1일부터 민간 주도의 외국 인력 도입 사업은 전면 중단하고 정부 주도의 고용화재 사업으로 일어나기 시작했습니다.
Shunga ko'ra 2003-yilda tegishli qonun qabul qilindi va 2007-yil 1-yanvardan boshlab chet ellik ishchi kuchini jalb qilish bo'yicha xususiy sektorlarni barchasini ish faoliyati to'xtatildi va hukumat tomonidan bandlikka ruxsat berish tizimi EPS faoliyati boshladi.
현재 고용화재로 외국 인력을 도입하는 국가는 우즈베키스탄을 비롯한 16개국입니다.
Hozirda bandlikka ruxsat berish tizimi EPS hamkorlik qiladigan davlatlar O'zbekiston bilan birgalikda 16 ta Osiyo davlatlaridan iborat.
네, 그리고 외국 인력 도입 규모는 2002년도가 6만 9천 명, 2003년은 한국 인력난 등을 고려하여 11만 명으로 확대될 예정에 있습니다.
Hozirda kirish skalasi 2022-yil bo'yicha 69,000 kishini tashkil etadi. Koreyada ishchi kuchini yetishmovchiligi sababli hisobga olib 2023-yilda kiruvchilar soni 1100 ga yetkazish rejalashtirildi.
그리고 고용화제로 한국에 입국한 근로자는 4년 10개월을 근무하게 되고 사업장을 변경하지 않는 등 성실하게 근로한 근로자에 대해서는 4년 10개월을 추가로 근로할 수 있게 하여 총 9년 8개월 동안 한국에 일할 수 있는 기회를 줍니다.
Bandlikka ruxsat berish tizimi orqali Koreyaga ishlagan borgan ishchilar dastlab 4 yil 10 oy davomida ishlashlari mumkin. Ish joyini almashtirmasdan sidqidildan ishlagan ishchilar uchun Koreya qo'shimcha yana 4 yil 10 oy ishlashga ruxsat beradi. Umumiy 9 yil 8 oy ishlash imkoniyatlari bor.
이와 같이 고용화제는 인력의 선발을 그리고 취업 알선 그리고 근로계약 체결 그리고 입국까지 모든 운영을 양국 정부가 주관하여 공정 투명하게 인력 도입을 송출하는 제도입니다.
Shunday qilib bandlikka ruxsat berish tizimi mahalliy saralashdan tortib ishga joylashtirish, mehnat shartnomasi tuzish va mamlakatga kirishga bo'lgan hamma jarayonni nazorat qilish orqali chet ellik ishchilarni noqonuniy ravishda joriy etmaslik va jo'natish tizimini yo'lga qo'ygan.
네, 다음은 한 우즈벡 고용허가제 인력 도입 현황에 대해서 말씀드리도록 하겠습니다.
Endi Koreya va O'zbekiston o'rtasidagi bandlikka ruxsat berish tizimi ish kuchini jo'natish haqida ozgina to'xtalib o'taman.
우즈베키스탄 고용화제 사업은 2006년 양국 고용노동부 간에 고용화제 업무 협약을 체결하고 2007년부터 본격적으로 사업이 시작되었습니다.
Koreya O'zbekiston o'rtasida bandlikka ruxsat berish tizimi 2006-yilda ikki davlat bandlikka ruxsat berish Bandlik va Mehnat vazirligi o'rtasida bandlikka ruxsat berish tizimi anglashuv memorandumi imzolangan va 2007-yildan boshlab jadal ish boshlangan.
현재 우즈베키스탄 인력 도입 규모는 지난 16년 동안 매년 평균 2,500여 명이 도입되어 총 39,000여 명의 우즈베키스탄 근로자가 한국으로 입국하였고 현재 8,000여 명의 근로자들이 한국 내에서 일하고 있는 등 중앙아시아 도입국가 중에서는 가장 큰 규모의 도입국가가 되었습니다.
Hozirgi vaqtda O'zbekiston bilan Koreya hamkorlik qilayotganiga 16 yil bo'lgan bo'lsa, yiliga 2,5 ming nafardan fuqaro Koreyaga ishlagani borishadi va hozirgi kungacha 39 ming nafar fuqaro Koreyaga borib ishlab kelishgan. Hozirgi vaqtda Koreyada mehnat faoliyatini olib borayotganlarning soni 8 ming nafarga yetadi va O'rta Osiyo, Markaziy Osiyo hamkorlik davlatlar orasida O'zbekiston eng ko'p ishchilarni yuboruvchi davlatlardan biri hisoblanadi.
그리고 2022년 올해는 우즈베키스탄 정부의 도입 확대를 위한 다각적인 노력 등으로 22년 11월 현재 기준으로 3,900여 명이 도입되는 등 도입 규모는 지금 현재 점진적으로 확대되는 추세에 있습니다.
Joriy yilda O'zbekiston hukumati sa'y-harakati bilan 22-noyabr holatiga ko'ra 3900 nafar fuqaroni tashkiliy tarzda ketishlarga muvaffaq bo'lingan.
이와 같이 한 우즈벡 고용허가제 사업은 우즈베키스탄 근로자들이 한국으로 합법적으로 취업할 수 있게 하는 통로를 마련하고 있을 뿐만 아니라 양국의 경제 발전과 우호에도 크게 기여하고 있는 상황입니다.
Shunday qilib bandlikka ruxsat berish tizimi O'zbekistonlik ishchilarni Koreyaga qonuniy mehnat qilishlari uchun yo'lni taqdim etibgina qolmasdan, balki ikki davlat o'rtasida iqtisodiy taraqqiyot va do'stlikni mustahkamlashga katta hissa qo'shgan.
현재 한국은 출산율 저하 등으로 노동 인력 부족이 심화되고 있고 앞으로 보다 많은 외국 인력 도입의 필요성을 느끼고 있는 상황입니다.
Kelgusida Koreyada ishchi kuchini yetishmovchiligi kuchayib, chet ellik ishchilarga ehtiyoj ko'paymoqda.
따라서 우즈베키스탄 EPA 센터에서는 국가별 도입 규모 결정에 있어 한국 내 사업주의 선호도와 불법 체류율이 가장 중대한 영향을 미친다는 점을 고려해서 우즈베키스탄 정부와 긴밀히 협력하여 더욱 신속한 근로자 도입, 한국어 구사 능력이 우수한 근로자의 선발, 그리고 불법 체류를 낮추기 위한 다각적 노력 등을 통해 보다 많은 우즈베키스탄 근로자들이 한국 내로 입국할 수 있도록 최선의 노력을 다할 계획입니다.
Shu sababli O'zbekistondagi EPS markazi Koreyadagi ish beruvchilarning afzalliklari va noqonuniy qolish darajasini joriy etish qo'llanmasiga ko'lamiga katta ta'sir ko'rsatadi deb o'ylaymiz. O'zbekiston hukumati bilan yaxshi hamkorlikda ishlab tezroq yuborish fuqarolarni koreys tilini
네, 이상입니다. 라그만. 네.
koreys tilini yaxshi biladigan ishchilarni tanlash, shuningdek noqonuniy qolish holatini kamaytirish bo'yicha ko'p karrali sa'y harakatlar olib bormoqdamiz va olib boramiz keyinchalik ham. Bizning nutqimiz shu yergacha edi. E'tiboringiz uchun kattakon rahmat.
라그만.
Thank you for the very interesting presentation. I think Uzbekistan will be of great interest of also other countries than just South Korea as regards skilled labor, because so many countries are lacking workforce today. Next, we will hear a presentation from Mrs. Albina Tordbayeva, USAID Country Coordinator for the Republic of Kazakhstan, Windrock International. Please.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Mina. So, dear all, I come from Kazakhstan and I represent USAID project Safe Migration in Central Asia. Unfortunately, our chief of party, Eleanor Valentine, couldn't come due to unexpected health issues, but she sends her your recognition and to our state partners, Ministry of Labor and Employment and agency, and we are very thankful for our partnership. So, next slide, please. So Windrock is an international organization, and we have been working since 1985 in more than 100 countries. We do a lot of development projects working with USAID, USG government, and other donors. And especially we are proud of our programs in countering human trafficking and safe migration. So as you can see from the map, we work in Southeast Asia, Asia, like countries Cambodia, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Nepal, and we do a lot of projects combating especially to reduce child labor, for example, in Argentina. And in Central Asia, in red especially, we work in our project, which is called Safe Migration Central Asia. Next slide, please. So, Safe Migration in Central Asia project, where I work, it started in 2019, and it's a 5-year project with the aim to promote human rights-based migration, and we use victim-centered, trauma-informed approach in our work. We work to improve systems and reduce vulnerability at all levels. And you can see from map, we work in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyz Republic, and Turkmenistan in our project. So we work in systemic approach, and we work with foster partnerships with governments, private sector, as you can see from this big model. But to put simply, we work to build capacity, and our program is tailored whether we are working. For example, we have source communities, source countries like Uzbekistan, Kyrgyz Republic. We have transit and destination countries like Kazakhstan, but at the moment Kazakhstan also changing into source communities, and we have internal migration issues. So in each country, our programming is tailored to the context where we work. Next slide, please. In Uzbekistan, we have launched our project in 2029, and as you can see from the photos, we work closely with the government of Uzbekistan, especially with Ministry of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, Agency for External Labor Relations, Agency for Development of Social Medical Services. We work with international partners who were present at today's forum, and we work with private sector. Also, we are proud of our NGO partners. You can see in a map, we work across the whole Uzbekistan with NGO partners through sub-awards and grants. Next slide, please. So what we have done up to date, what are major accomplishments? We are proud to say that we helped in development of draft law on external labor migration. We promote bilateral agreements on readmission of persons residing without authorization with the governments of Estonia, Czech Republic and Norway. At the moment we are working on transnational referral mechanism between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. And in the photo, you can see opening of Information Resource Center on Migration in the GZAG region. And also we help to develop database to have common system for trafficking in person. And at the moment, we are helping to develop SOP, standard operation procedures. So all services to victims will be high quality and structured, like in shelters, for example. And we also offer a training and capacity building tailored at government officials, at migrants, at victims. You can see in small infographics our achievements. Next slide, please. So we are very proud that we have such great partner like Agency for External Labor Migration, whom we work together in promoting safe and orderly migration. You can see phases. This is, to say simply, is we are accompanying labor migrants through their journey before they leave to work abroad and when they come back. And it was said today already that there are several stages, and we piloted with our NGO Barkor Hayot the first 2 phases. So we deliver pre-departure info session. We have psychologists, we have social worker who supports potential labor migrant. And so they know where they're going, which countries they're going, what cultural aspects they should know. And so these people, they approach agency premises to get such support. If they are selected by foreign employer, they can have tailored info session like how to do employment contracts, work-specific terminology. We will also work together with agency to have foreign language courses. So if, thanks to this forum, there will be more employer organizations, we can also, as WinRock, to support your work. And even if a potential migrant is not selected, we still support this person. We give him skills training, employment opportunities, startup for their businesses, so they're not left behind. And after that, selected people, they have travel, so they need to go. And we have some projects which I really like safe airports. I will show you later what is Safe Airport project. And international buses, trains, train stations, we work with them, we partner with them, so that potential, like labor migrants, they're informed about the risks of unsafe, unsafe migration. After they are back, we do needs assessment. The phase 4 and 5, we work with all NGOs in a map in all across the Uzbekistan. And we try, when they come back, we try to find their needs. What is their needs so they can successfully reintegrate back to local community? Maybe they need psychological support. Maybe they need to find employment in their home country. So we work through all journey of labor migrant together with our state partner agency. Next slide, please. As I said before, there is Safe Airports program, which we are very proud of. You can see in a photo that at the departure zone of Termez and Namangan airports and agency premises in Tashkent, we put information touchscreen kiosk. So it's a very interesting booth. You can come, you can watch videos, you can download software on a QR code, and you can find information about your rights as a migrant, responsibilities, access to health care in Kazakhstan, for example, or Korea, and support services for labor migrants and victims. If you are a victim of human trafficking, you can also, for example, use Salom Migrant Bot. Salom Migrant Bot, I really advise you to check. It's in Telegram, very popular messenger in our Central Asia region. So Salom Migrant Bot helps you in a live option to, you can, for example, push SOS button, SOS, if you are a human trafficking victim. And the local Minister of Internal Affairs will help you. So this is a really helpful And we do this with our major partners at Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, Agency for External Labor Migration, NGO Barkar Hayat, and Uzbekistan airports. So our beneficiaries, migrants, they are safe, they have information which they need when they are in other countries. So can we, можно нажать на это видео? So to show you how this booth is working at the moment in airports. And we want to scale this project, so all airports will have such opportunity. So anyone going abroad at the airport can just click and get information where I'm going, embassy contacts, hotline contacts if I need help. So I think it's great. Next slide, please. So I'm just finishing, so you guys all can go to coffee break and not hate me. So what are our future plans? Our future plans, we will further promote safe labor migration through enhancement of responsible, organized recruitment schemes, and we will support our government partners, NGO partners, private sector to find reliable employers abroad. And we will support agency to develop a departure curriculum, interesting, useful information tailored to the needs. We will develop more ICT tools like these kiosks and bots I have shown you. So because we want to have evidence-based, high-quality policy and programming across the Central Asia region, so we can share best practices, and overall we work together to promote safe migration for everyone and ethical employment. Thank you for attention. Ko'p rahmatlar.
Thank you so much for the interesting presentation. And as a former researcher, I can't emphasize too much of the importance of data, good quality data in order to do science and produce knowledge. I ask all the presenters to come in front. We don't have any time, but I think I'm allowed to give 1 or 2 minutes for questions and comments. Please, presenters, come to the stage. And if somebody has now a question or comment, I think we will have a microphone somewhere here in the hall. And please raise your hand if you have a question or a comment. I don't see any hands. People are thirsty for coffee already, I think. Okay, if you don't have any questions or comments now, you can always ask them during the coffee break. I warmly thank you to be able to moderate this first part of the conference. I wish you a very pleasant and very important conference here in Tashkent, and hope to see you all somewhere someday. Thank you.
kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling. Yangi pul o'tkazmalari PaySend UzKart va Humo kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling. Yangi pul o'tkazmalari PaySend UzKart va Humo kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling. Yangi pul o'tkazmalari PaySend UzKart va Humo kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling. Yangi pul o'tkazmalari PaySend UzKart va Humo kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling. Yangi pul o'tkazmalari PaySend UzKart va Humo kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling. Yangi pul o'tkazmalari PaySend UzKart va Humo kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling. Yangi pul o'tkazmalari PaySend UzKart va Humo kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling. Yangi pul o'tkazmalari PaySend UzKart va Humo kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling. Yangi pul o'tkazmalari PaySend UzKart va Humo kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling. Yangi pul o'tkazmalari PaySend UzKart va Humo kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling. Yangi pul o'tkazmalari PaySend UzKart va Humo kartalardan onlayn pul o'tkazmalari. O'tkazmalar uchun belgilangan komissiya dunyoning 100 dan ortiq mamlakatlarida PaySend onlayn o'tkazmalari App Store va Google Play orqali yuklab oling.